Welcome to The Explainer. Today, we're jumping right into some seriously fascinating insights into male psychology. Specifically, we're looking at the unique and, let's be honest, often totally misunderstood bond between men and their cats. If you've ever felt this profound sense of peace just by having a cat in the same room as you, well, you are in the exact right place. We're going to unpack the real science and psychology behind men who prefer the company of felines. We'll be looking at how nervous systems regulate energy, the actual literal biological impact of a purr, and what all of this reveals about your intellect. And honestly, what we find might just completely change how you see yourself and your cat. Okay, let's dive into this. Have you ever noticed how the quiet presence of a cat can instantly calm your mind? It's a really simple question, right? But it gets straight to the heart of this whole dynamic. For a lot of men, a cat isn't just a pet, it's an anchor. It's this source of profound grounding in a world that just keeps getting louder and more demanding. But, as we know, society hasn't always quite grasped this dynamic. Which brings us to Section 1, the cat guy myth, and how it's misunderstood by society. You know the stereotype? Society loves to label men who prefer cats as aloof, closed off, or maybe even lacking in basic social skills. You might have even found yourself kind of apologizing or making excuses for simply wanting some peace and quiet at home. But the psychological reality? It is completely different. It's not about being antisocial at all. It's actually about regulating the nervous system through intentional stillness. You aren't withdrawing from the world here. You're just actively managing how you process its energy. Moving on to Section 2, regulating the nervous system, the power of low-demand environments. And this brilliantly illustrates the core difference. Let's compare the two most popular companions to really see what a low-demand environment looks like. Dogs, and look, they are wonderful, loving creatures, absolutely, but they inherently demand energetic engagement. Right? When a dog enters a room, there is this implicit pressure to perform, to interact, to match that super high energy. Cats, on the flip side, offer a low-demand environment. They give your companionship, but it's entirely free from that constant demanding external stimulation. It is just a completely different energetic requirement. And there's actually a highly validating psychological term for this dynamic. It's called parallel existence. Basically, this means sharing a space and enjoying a connection with another being, but without the constant pressure to interact or perform. Just think about it. You could be reading a book, working on a really complex project, or just decompressing on the couch, and your cat is just happily napping on the other end of the room. You are together, you are connected, but there's absolutely zero performance required. For a certain type of nervous system, that lack of demand isn't just nice, it's incredibly restorative. Which leads us to Section 3, the biological reset, cortisol, stress, and the cat's purr. Get ready for this, because this is a phenomenal scientific reality. A cat's purr physically lowers cortisol. Now, cortisol is your body's main stress hormone, and when a cat purrs, it vibrates at this very specific frequency that has been biologically proven to tangibly drop those stress levels in humans. So it's not just a cute, comforting sound you enjoy. It is a literal biological tool that helps reset your body and calm what we call a highly vigilant mind. Seriously, it's almost like having a living, breathing stress relief device just sitting right there on your lap. Now, I just mentioned the vigilant mind, so let's quickly define exactly what that means. A vigilant mind is a highly active mental state that is constantly processing external stimuli, and because of that, it requires deliberate quiet and stillness to properly reset. A lot of men navigate their daily lives, professional and personal, in this state of high vigilance, always scanning, always analyzing, always on. If that sounds even remotely like you, then you don't just happen to prefer a quiet space. Biologically speaking, you require it to function optimally. Your cat provides the exact atmospheric and auditory conditions to just flip that internal switch from high alert right over to rest and recover. Let's move to Section 4 and see how this builds. Intellect and openness, what your preference actually reveals. So research actually shows that men who prefer cats tend to share some very specific psychological traits. First up, high intellectual openness. These are thinkers, guys who are open to new ideas and complex concepts. Next is a comfort with ambiguity, meaning they don't need everything spelled out or loudly broadcasted all the time. Now, we already touched on the preference for low-demand environments, but look at these last two because they're huge. A capacity for selective depth and valuing genuine connection over constant stimulation. This completely destroys that societal myth we talked about at the very beginning of The Explainer. Loving cats isn't about lacking social skills, not at all. It's about having a profound capacity for deep, meaningful, and thoughtful engagement. You simply prefer the quality of the connection way more than the volume of the interaction. Finally, Section 5, the power of quiet connection, or why your cat chose you. So the crucial point here, and it all really boils down to this core truth, is this. Your calm energy is your greatest asset. If you are a man who loves cats, your quietness is definitely not a weakness. Your stillness isn't some void or a lack of personality. It's an active, regulating force. Think about it. Cats are highly intuitive creatures. They are drawn to this exact type of stability. They choose to hang around you because your calm energy gives them a safe, grounded space. And in return, they help you maintain that exact same strength. As we wrap up this explainer, I want to leave you with a bit of a provocative question to chew on. How will you use your selective depth and calm energy to navigate a highly stimulated world today? The next time your cat curls up next to you, don't just see a pet. Recognize the biological reset that is happening in real time. Acknowledge your vigilant mind finally finding its peace. Embrace that parallel existence. Your calm is literally a psychological superpower. So how are you going to use it out there in the world? Thanks for joining me on this explainer, and hey, keep enjoying that quiet strength.